Today we're gonna take a look on how to make this drop. Let's get into it. Hey guys, I'm Killen Void. I'm a music producer and I mainly make melodic bass music with usually kind of a hyperpod twist. And yeah, today we're gonna take a look at one of my drum and bass songs actually, but a drum and bass song that also has like very colorful sounds and very twinkly sounds that I really love doing. And yeah, I wanted to show you guys that. But before we get into it, I actually want to show you something interesting about the release of the song and why it's performing very well currently. Because if you look at my Spotify, it's currently sitting at my #1 track, even though it was like quite low for a long time, but it shot back up to be the most popular track right now that I currently have. And that's super interesting because if you take a look at the stats in the Spotify for Artists page, and I increase the duration, you can see the entire timeline. And as you can see, it started off quite nicely. We had like this little bump in the beginning, which is like very usual. We had another one, probably because of release radar. And then it kind of just dropped down and I was like, okay, unfortunately it doesn't seem to be like very popular with people, getting about like 30 streams a day. And then it started picking up in pace and getting more and more streams. And then I remember this like one day, Monday, it was like totally nuts. And as you can see, it's like even more than on release day. And that is really just because of Discover Weekly. As you can see, like if I increase it once again, you can see like it's like most of the streams are coming like from Spotify Rhythmic playlist and especially Discover Weekly. And yeah, I just want to show you that sometimes a track needs a little longer to really hit the algorithm, and then it's like really floating on it sometimes, because like people, it keeps getting into Discover Weekly. As you can see, like the bumps usually happen on Monday, and that's when, you know, like Discover Weekly is like updating. And yeah, if it's doing well and many people will save it on Discover Weekly, it's getting into even more Discover Weeklies. And yeah, that's why it's riding pretty nicely right now. And yeah, I mean, you cannot really control a lot about like how many people will save your stuff and will drive up the Discover Weekly algorithm. But proves once again, you have just to make like good tunes and the algorithm will pick up on its own, you know. It's like nothing, I did like nothing promotional wise, especially after that time. We just did, yeah, like, you know, like the usual promotion stuff in the beginning, and then it just picked up on its own, you know. So sometimes it's really about making great music, which I think is like really a nice thing. But anyways, let's get into the DAW and take a look how I made some of the sounds. So as you can hear, we have like pretty much like our main sub basses, and I have just this one lead layer. That's really like the most of what the drop is about here. Obviously we have like the drums and all that, but I know you guys really just want to see how I made like the basses and the lead sounds. So let's just go. So this is the lead sound. And I duplicated here so we can take a listen to it unfrozen. And I took off all the effects, and I'm gonna take off the arpeggiator and just play like the notes that we have in here. So like a lot of the effect comes from the fact that I have like overlapping notes, and when I turn on the arpeggiator, it's like jumping between those notes very quickly. As you can hear, a lot from the sound is already coming from the arpeggiator. I'm on free mode here. So it's basically like, usually it's set to like a fixed time. So it's playing in sync with like the beat and the tempo. But right now, as you can see, I'm just modulating it. So it's like doing like exponential curves. And it's like really wide automation going on here. So as you can see here, it's like super fast. It's going a little slower here. And then here, This is like the main part. I think it's like going from super fast to become a bit slower. It's creating like this exponential effect, which I really like. The patch itself is like super easy. Like basically it's just like a saw wave. That is getting distorted to becoming a square wave basically. And just to add like a little extra touch, I added like a second oscillator at the same octave and gave it like some unison. Doesn't come out too much here, but if you put like all the effects on there, it's like really adding like a little stereo width, so the lead sound is not too narrow and too thin. I also have like a noise activated here, but the level is on 0. But I have here on this knob, I use the FM from noise oscillator. So basically, what that adding is, if you listen to it, if I increase the effect, it's giving it like a little bit more of that grit, of that aggressive grit, making it a little more dirty. And yeah, you know, like I think those two techniques are like super nice. If you have like a super clean sound, but you want to make it a little more dirty, little bit more nasty, you can use this thing to make like this one oscillator a little more gritty, and then you can obviously add some unison stuff. That just adds a little extra grit if the sound is too clean for your taste. So next off, we are gonna go into the effect. I'm just gonna take a look at what we have here. So yeah, this one is actually a pretty fun thing here. Let's just turn on everything one by one. So this is a super narrow bandpass, as you can see, which is and the drive is also very high, which is also just making this thing super aggressive. I also have like a lot of automation going on here, so whenever it's like super, the bandpass is getting super low, it's getting this like super. I think it sounds super shit if you hear it like that, but obviously the effects, the distortion and the OTTs are gonna push it back up and gonna create like super nice out effects and super dirty sounds with like the super low filter sweeps. Next up we have the decapitator, which I love. It's just on punish mode, super nasty sound. You can hear how nasty it became now. Oh, a thing I almost forgot, we have a pitch bend going on here, which is like also adding a lot to the sound. Next off we have a saturator, which is going pretty nuts. So this is basically the distortion, make everything insane kind of portion of the sound. Especially, as I said, when like the filters are going down. Now it's like really getting super aggressive. Next off, we have a little bit of chorus to make it a little wider. Just giving it a little of those side things. Next off, I have my free OTTs rack. Can maybe close that down. Oh, wait, I have like this thing here, but yeah, that's just free OTTs, but macroed all to one knob. So like all 3 of those knobs are getting modulated by the same, as you can see, by the same one knob. So I don't need to tweak all of them at once. Also, I can do this time scaling for all of them at once, which is like just super handy to be like super quick. And yeah. Also, I almost forgot, I put together a super tiny sample pack with the sounds of this tutorial, so you can play around with the sounds, resample them, and do whatever you like. Just go into the description of this video, and I'm gonna send you, you're gonna unlock a link to this little sample pack. It's for free. So as you can hear, we already have like, this is already adding like a lot. I also especially love like those in the end, those artifacts that are happening. I just love that super OTT sound. I'm just in love with that. Next up, I think it's really just Just making sure like we have no lows because there probably are quite some. Yeah, that's all stuff you don't want, so I'm cutting that out with an EQ. Next off, I have this passive EQ. I love passive EQs recently, so basically it's like a little bit of EQing, but it can be a little nicer on the highs. So if you boost the highs with a passive EQ like this one, which is free by the way, it usually sounds a little softer, but you can still boost the highs quite nicely. So I'm boosting here the highs here just a little bit. Next off, a utility, probably just to get rid of, yeah, exactly, like, yeah, to get rid of this nasty thing in between here. And next off, we just have a little bit of reverb automation, which is obviously like just a cheat code, you know, to just fill out displays and play with the rooms. And here we have like another reverb that is doing nothing. Okay, yeah, I love having plugins just to take up some CPU. So yeah, that's that really for the sound. It's like, it's quite some techniques that I gathered over the years to make like these ARP sounds pretty nice. So yeah, hope you enjoy that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a variation of that. And the lead sounds that are coming in later on are really just resampled versions of this main sound. So that's that. And this is literally just the sample, the lead sound we just had, just resampled. So if I play the sample here quick. Wait a second. Okay. So that's basically literally the same sample, but I put, I resampled it and I put it into this simpler and put it on slice mode. And then I just played around here. And just tried to find sweet spots, and then I just came up with this basically. As you can hear, it's doing like some pitch things. So here I'm just modulating the pitch, I think, at some points. Let me see. Where is the pitch? Yeah, okay, here we go. So I'm creating some melody with like the transposition knob here. And then here I'm taking like a little part of the sample as well. Yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun with just resampling stuff. Effect-wise, there's not a lot going on here. A little bit more OTT. Okay, quite a lot of OTT. So it's basically 3 more OTTs on the initial 2 OTTs basically we had before. More EQing, more reverb automation, as Soothe 2 that's unfortunately deactivated, but I think just to smooth out the sound. And then another little tip I really like is basically that I took this envelope MIDI Max for Live device and mapped it to the gain here and listen to what it's doing. So basically it's this device allows you to make LFO shapes basically based on the input signal. So whenever like a MIDI note is hitting, this is getting triggered. In this case, it's triggering the utility. So it is like basically creating like an ADSR, but as an effect. So it's making the sound more choppy. If I turn this utility off, you hear how sustained it is, and I wanted it to be more choppy, so I basically just modulated whenever the note is hitting that after a certain time the gate is just getting reduced. So it's just getting more choppy. I could have also made that by hand basically, but you know, like that, it's just super useful because you just need to map this here and you don't need to think about anything else. And yeah, that's like, I think this technique is now getting reused and reused for the second drop as well. Yeah, that's also like a part of the sample, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, it's literally the sample again, but as you can hear. Okay, I just fucked it up. Okay, now it's in classic mode instead of slice. So what I'm doing is not letting Ableton decide where the points are, but I'm deciding it myself by modulating the starting point of the sample. So as you can see here, I'm modulating the starting point. So here it's playing this sample, and here it's playing the same sample, and down here it's playing like other samples. So let's have a listen. So really, I'm playing melodies, but without actually playing melodies. So which, I don't know, I just love making melodies in different ways. And yeah, I just added like this double time drop here, and I think it fitted like super nicely. Oh yeah, and I forgot I have the utility thing here as well. So if you listen to it without, it's different, but I want it to be more choppy. So yeah, and that's it for the lead sounds basically. And now let's listen to the sub basses, which are basically just a lot of reeses. So the first one is this one, which is yeah, you know, like your classic reese in a way. So some techniques I like using, as you can see, I did like a very long LFO, so it has like this attack in the beginning, and it's getting filtered out over time. We have like two saw waves in the same oscillator. The second one is just detuned. Here we have some distortion, a little chorus, a little bit of tonal delay actually, and OTT. And outside of there, honestly, I don't think there's like a one way to do it. Just distort things, notch them out. I think notching the sound out does really a lot. It's adding like a little bit of the effect. If you know what I mean. Next up, I have like my little dank rack. I'm gonna give that away at some time if you want. So just let me know in the comments if you want my dank rack, basically. So here we have just some OTT, and really just those are like some distortion units. So without it, it's just getting super nasty. And yeah, a lot of EQing, really. So yeah. And yeah, for the respace, I wanted to make sure like the sub is hitting right. So I played around with the sub basses a lot, how they felt like right, because I think sometimes like especially for resets, it's nice to actually have like the original sub in there, but like sometimes it's not. It's really just playing around and seeing what works best. In this case, I cut the lows and added an extra sub. But I cut it at that point because I kind of liked how it went up in the octave here, in the respace. So, and I didn't like when the sub was going up there as well, so I cut it at that point. So the sub is really hitting just in the beginning. As I said, just playing around and seeing what works best. It's really a lot of experimentation here. Next off, then it's responding with this layer, which is really just two layers of bass. Like this one is like, as I see, like pretty much the same as the sound, just a little different. And I also have like another reese layer that's just taking care of the highs. Together, they sound a little messy. And with the bass, they sound like this. They sound a little messy, but in the end, it's about how everything sounds together. And I thought in the context of the song with all the other elements. Oh, wait a second. That's not how it's supposed to sound. So with the other elements, it sounded like that. Like you don't hear the messiness anymore. And I think like the aggressiveness was actually pretty nice. So yeah, and that's really it for the sub basses. I think like also interesting is like for the second drop, like the super fast one is actually pretty nice, I think. So let's have a listen for that one. Yeah, I really like that one. So let's unfreeze it. So basically, I took one of my Reese presets that I once made, based on like an Imano tutorial, and I created this shape that is doing a super fast low pass filter, and that is getting modulated. As you can see, the shape of the LFO is getting modulated by this macro, so it's creating this super nice rhythm basically. Let's have a look at the macro. Yeah, so it's basically opening at some points, and I think it's creating this super nice rhythm and like dynamic in the sound. So that's definitely something I can recommend. Putting macros on your LFO, it's like changing so much dynamically. I mean, listen to that. So yeah, I hope you really like what I did there. I certainly do. So and I think that's really like the main things about the song. I don't think it makes sense to go into every single detail. But yeah, what track would you like me to break down next? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. There are gonna be music production tutorials and things into that direction dropping every second Sunday. So stay tuned for that. Maybe activate the bell, leave a like on the video, and yeah, go stream the song if you like it. Yeah, hope you have a great day and see you next time. Bye.